But all right, I'm in charge of video. I'm in charge of videoing. What's up, boy? All right, man. I get to see him every now and then. I run to him from place to place. Oh, look, Coach Hillary's in the house.
Don't tell me questions.
Wait, who else is supposed to play?
Did you get the food from Stevens?
Yeah.
What did you get? No, and you were supposed to get food from Hatrix.
No, no one said Patrick's. Great.
Hatrix is sitting there with me. Yeah, well, I told Jordan that I was in.
Lamb and lemon. Oh, it's so good to see you.
I wish we could be in another car, but here we are. Is he going to be able to go get it? Is he going to get it? No, I meant Justin, maybe? I don't know.
Since I'm getting it now.
Because he's sitting there waiting for us.
You look good, Quiddy.
Oh, so do you, baby.
Bro.
Of course I
Remember
did.
last time I saw you?
I
You were injured.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you were just getting over what you had.
Look at him, dressed like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm good.
Hey, man. How you doing, brother? You doing all right?
I'm sending the tape back to Deputy Joe.
All right.
And Jordan wants to put everything on a Facebook page.
Okay, okay.
So she did this. I'm all right, Coach. I'm okay. I'm sorry to be here, but at least glad we're here. That's what we're doing. Yep. I told Jordan, I said we wouldn't know each other. We all wouldn't know each other. We're all in together. So I'm trying to keep it that way. We're expecting some more. Yeah, I got caught in it too. So we'll give it a few more minutes and we'll keep it going. We got Jordan's video running. Jordan put this on her Facebook page. So we're supposed to send one back to her so she can continue doing it. Yeah, yeah. The pastor at Don's church, which was a very active member. That's his wife. Man of the year, the Chamber of Commerce.
Really? That doesn't surprise me. Like you said, you can sell ice dance for all man.
He took over the town. Let me put this someplace.
Who's under your name?
Yes, or Coach Bostic, yeah. I don't know what Steve was under. Is that Hatrix?
Okay, thanks. Is anybody picking it up yet?
Very Jordan's taking it. Hello. Next one to talk has to run. All right? I know I haven't got that up running in your career, really, anymore. I'm going to come outside tonight anyway. It's a very, very solemn occasion that we are here tonight, but the happy part is that we are actually here with us together tonight. I talked to Jordan and I told her the theme of our event is going to be that many of us would not know each other if we were not to know. And that we are happy to be here and celebrate his life, celebrate his coaching career, celebrate the family that he has left us here in Tampa, at the University of Tampa, and within our community here. So I thank all of you for coming out tonight. And I know everyone has a great story, but I want to bring Danny Lee up for a minute.
Good. Danny, start right on.
And I can't do this without without a Don Boston Budweiser in my hand. All right. I'm very famous with that. And let me play this again. This is actually a video that Deborah Joe, of course, had these pictures, and she gave it to their pastor because John was now very active in their church, and he put these pictures together in a video and plays on Jordan's Facebook page. And she offered it to me so that I could play it in the background with us here tonight. And very many young pictures of a young Don Bostic and Jordan and Todd and Joe. But Danny, who, I know many times you guys saw us together in some of our events, and we were sometimes the new three horsemen. But one great story that I think will remind us all of Don, and Nick was with us one year. We went up to Minneapolis for the Final Four, and celebrating the tradition of Indians in Minnesota. And before you had to be really as politically correct as we should have been, Danny decided he was going to give everyone an Indian name. So of course I was Brown Eagle. Typecast. Yeah. Coach had to be the Silver Fox. All right. Vic Elliott, with the junior at the time, was one who writes. All right. And then Don, everybody should know, would have been Mouth That Runs. Ever and ever. So we had a few other names, some other members that were with us there tonight. But Dan was here, who was always one who names supported the media and kept us out there. So I had been Monday would be the day to welcome all of you guys here today. So again, we thank you for coming out and celebrating with us tonight.
On that trip, Dave, I remember that Dave was always trying in Don's image to help people out. We were coming through the parking lot at our hotel in Minneapolis, and due to poor planning, we didn't realize that all the package stores and pubs were closed on a Sunday. But the Lord provided as we were walking through there. Here were some teenage kids drinking beer and gin out in the parking lot, and Officer Queen
Don't let me see you again in this list. Well, an absolute position.
Now, I'll say this. This is not a sobering group of people here. And you know what? God would like that. Now, I'm here with me. So, I'm going to just tell you a couple stories. Most of you all here, excuse me, most of you here know Don as an assistant coach. And for just being assistant coach here, I'm going to give you a little story about when our friendship started. Back many years ago now, I'm an old man, I got the head coaching job at Ballard High School in Louisville, Kentucky. And I've been an assistant coach under Bill Olson, who ended up being the athletic director at the University of Louisville for a lot of years. I've been his assistant for a few years. When they put in a new school in Louisville back then, they would go 7, 8, and 9, and then every year you'd add a grade. They'd go to the 10th grade, 11th, 12th. So the first year I was a coach there by myself, and we had 7th and 8th and 9th grade, so we were going to have a 7th grade team, 8th grade team, and 9th grade team. And I was by myself. Well, anyway, I was teaching 7th and 8th grade PE. So school just started. I really didn't know any of the kids that were there. I'd been over at Westport High School. And, you know, I was still kind of young, about 25. I thought I could still play ball, which of course I couldn't. But I had a PE class, and it was raining one day. It was really early in the semester. It was raining. We couldn't go outside and play football or anything, so we went into the gym, and we were playing cross court with a group going over here, one going over here. I thought, well, you know, I ought to be pretty good out here with these 7th graders. So I said, come on, I'm going to get in one of these games. So I get into the game, and this little skinny kid was driving in there, and I slapped that ball away and kind of knocked him down. I didn't think anything of it. I thought, man, I'm really a stud here. I got the ball, and I took off down the floor. I was going in for an easy layup, but all of a sudden, I just get cremated from behind by this little bitty skinny white guy. That really, I've never seen a little kid like that who challenged a teacher. He knocked me on my butt. And ever since that day, I said, there's a guy you can take and you can win basketball games with. And from that day on, Ron and I were pretty close. He ended up being a starter for me for 4 years on the varsity and all that kind of stuff. I'll tell you another thing he used to do. At Ballard, the reason we were pretty good, which we were pretty good, we were really good, we had a recreation center there at our gym in the summer. I'd set that up so that you could do something without being called cheaters. I never coached them, but the kids were always in the gym. And we opened that gym up from 10 to 2. That was our 8 hours, 2 to 10, excuse me. And what would happen is we would go, in the afternoon, the young kids, the high school kids, they would come in, and depending on how many of them were around, they'd either play 5-on-5 or 3-on-3 or something like that. But at 5:30, everybody kind of go home to eat. But Don would always come, bring his lunch with him with his dinner in a brown paper sack, and we would eat together. So basically, that was it. And we went on for me, really not what I did for him, it's what he did for me. I was a assistant at Virginia, and I got the head job at Vanderbilt. I think it was like on a Thursday or Wednesday or Thursday they announced it. And I called him, he was in the doctoral program at the University of Florida. And I called him and I said, I got the head job. We really did say, I didn't have to say, do you want to be my assistant? And I said, I'm going to be back in Nashville on Monday because we're going to need to get started. He said, I'll see you Monday. He quit the classes that he was in and everything, and he was there on Monday in Nashville, and always did a great job for me. But that's the kind of stuff that he always did with me. You all know him as a guy with tremendous, I don't know what the word I'm looking for, but you all know what he could do, not only for me, but for all of you all. You knew him in a lot of different ways. He was so good at everything that he did. And, you know, I'm kind of weird sometimes, but I always thought, I think about things like this. It's kind of weird. I thought, you know, what would happen if I was someplace and they said you can't have a doctor that you needed to be operated on? You know what I mean, Johnny? And they said you have to pick one of your friends to operate on you, and you got 3 days for that guy to learn how to operate. I've always felt like there was no question it would always be Donald. He would be prepared in some way. The guy would be prepared. He had common sense, but he was also so intelligent, and he would get things done. I never had to worry about anything he did. I didn't have to say, did you do this, do that? I didn't have to do that. He was probably asking me, did you do this, did you do that? So that's the kind of thing, you know, that's what I felt like. If you look back in your life and you think about something like that, who have you known that could save your life? And you could only pick one of those people. And you know a lot of good people, all of y'all know a lot of people. But for me, I'll be picking him. I would know that he would somehow know how to save my life. I'm pretty much sure that's what he did a lot of times for me. But I'm not going to say a whole lot more. It's not good for me. I'm not the best. But I just thought I'd share those stories so that you really knew. I don't think a lot of you knew he was my assistant coach, but he's a morning man. Thanks.
Thank Coach for coming up tonight. We know it's tough for all of us, but especially tough for him. Especially tough for him. I'm going to open the mic up, or just open the floor. If I know many of you have many things in your hearts and in your memories, but we ask you to maybe come up for us and, you know, take Reader's Digest version and tell us a story about Don, something that would make you feel happy to share with all of us. Remember your camera. Let me have to start taking you out, bringing you up. I could do that too.
I'm Michael Lenning, and I've been in the PA announcer for many years, only because Don Bostic told his good friend Lee Tobin that Mike Lenning was going to take his place. And so these many years I'm still here. The memories I have of Don were on the radio, and as I commented on the website of the funeral home, as I stared at his smile, I never knew whether it was a smile, or it was a sarcastic smile. Don was that type of person. And as Coach said, when it came to intelligence, and I think his players can attest to that, Don really knew the game. And my lot in life was to do the post-game interviews. Schmidt was shy, he would never come out of the locker room, but Don would, and that gave us an opportunity to have a lot of exchanges back and forth. And the one thing that I'll always remember about Don is these guys were on the eve of going home. And Don Bostic stood up in front of them, and it's something I carry through life. He looked at each one of the players and he said, please, while you're home, don't commit any turnovers off the court. And I carry that through life, which to me is a very profound statement, that it was not only what they did on the court, but it was also what they did off the court. And I came to the University of Tampa to work for them, and it turns out that the budget at that time, which I think is still the case, didn't provide a lot of resources. But I had inherited a car from my former employment, and as a result, I'm certain today it'd be viewed as an NCAA violation, but if Chris Lee can get away with telling stories of Dave Quinn being a law enforcement officer, I can go like this. I made my gray Buick available to Don, who traveled all over the state of Florida in my gray Buick to try and recruit players. And in that context, I brought some great ones in, and for them to be here tonight is just a testimony to Don and to Coach Schmidt in that context. And so, as I said, I was shocked. Coach put me on the fact that I'm supposed to take MSM at my advanced age, and I was trying to find out whether it was MSM or MSN. And in the process of that, I learned that Coach isn't available at the sports banquet because Don Bostic died on Friday evening, which was an absolute shock to me. My kids were ball boys. Both of them have commented about the great memories they had of Coach Bostic being responsible for always a class program, whether it was on the court, off the court, etc. And of course, the greatest moment of my life was when Coach Valvano decided that he couldn't come to Tampa to waste his time, and we upset North Carolina State. I'm sorry, that's the high, and that's where I'll remember both Schmidt and Bostic and all those great players back then. Johnny Jones was still as much as he did then as he does now. The radio man next to him, that guy asked him if he still was running around trying to catch a portal truck as he was doing his 2 years old. But as I said, I couldn't comment on Pepper Joe on the website because I didn't know how to help spell Pepper. So I thank those people who taught me how to spell Pepper. That's my memories of Don, and it just goes back to me. Just a fantastic person.
Is out front when we came in here with Don Bostic, coach at UVA, and coming back, they were in the process of beating Joe Hall at the University of Kentucky that night. On that night, they were fouling Al McKinney, and Don Bostic and Richard Schmidt were the only two guys that thought Al McKinney could play on a scholarship. They saw him in D.C., old skinny kid, probably a little bit like Don did. But Al McKinney was the kid stroking all the free throws. They were playing a hack-a-shack on Al McKinney. And I was doing that game, and little Al McKinney, who now works for Hospital Corporation of America, is very successful. He struck every one of those free throws. To Richard, to Don, I know it meant a lot to be Kentucky that night. Maybe you had to be from Kentucky to appreciate that. Don went on in life, into education, got that PhD, and I think what's beautiful about him and Deborah Joe is that here's a guy that had been to the athletic mountaintop, and then at the end of his life, he's giving back in Ranger, Texas, to small, rural Texans, giving them an education, and he had built 6 rural campuses there under the Ranger College brand. He was lifting people up, which is what he had done his entire life. He was a wonderful guy, and it was a Thanksgiving for that 23-year-old kid, Paul Kennedy, a long time ago, where you came in at Thanksgiving and said, "What are you doing at Thanksgiving?" "You're coming with Don Bostic and I, and we're going to have dinner at our house." I've never forgotten that. That's the kind of people they were. Don and Deborah Joe were going to miss him a whole lot. I had lunch with Earl Carter, that manager that really ran the program for us while he was there, the Ballard graduate. He's now an admiral in the Navy. Retired as,
Paul, tell them, just so these people understand about Ballard High School, our manager was Earl Carter. Tell them what he really ended up being.
Yeah, he
What
was
he has in the Navy or fleet.
he went into submarine corps. Now, we flew, see Mr. Clausen over there and others, if you were in the SEC, you know, you had to go to these little airports. You ever tried to fly from Gainesville to Oxford? It's not like you want to take Delta. Or you're going to go to Starkville, or whatever. Or some of these places. So you had to take these little tiny airplanes. You remember, what was it, Gator?
The Blue Goose. The DC-3, the Blue Goose, and our pilot's name is Captain Jack Frost.
He looked like a guy that had just run out of timeouts when he got on that plane. But Earl was the logistics where he would tell the coaches and players, this is a 21-year-old senior telling you where you're going to be and what time you're going to be. He was the battle manager. Don reported to him. Coach Schmidt reported to this kid. He went on to go into the Navy in the ROTC program, went into the submarine corps, and to make a long story short, became the commanding officer of the USS Scranton, became the Commodore of the 8th Submarine Group, became the Associate Chief of Staff for Personnel, and went to Don's services in Texas, drove all night from another neighborhood.
Just one few things about it.
Pitiful. That's a rambling story, but I think I'll take this from Don. Loyalty and love for Don Bostic. So thank you very much.
I'm not used to talking to on these mics. They didn't interview me very much. I wasn't that good. Some of the stories I remember about Coach Bostic was, I don't know if Mr. Alfonso or whomever, but they wrote in the paper when we played against Florida Southern that we're dirty team because of being like a Stiglitz. But we got that from Coach Bostic. They said I got in a lot of trouble here when I was here, but it was a situation happened down in the Rats Cover bus, and I come in, Coach want to see you. I said, he'll see me on the training table when I get taped. I don't need to go to the office, I already go tell me. So, I don't know what to do with your son. So, I go in training, come out, he tell me, so you go run until I get tired. So I went to run. Coach Bostic comes up, so Roscoe,
I mean, you know what goes on your floor, there's something to do. Coach Smith and Coach Boston was always, they were always there. And my mom had a duplex, 2-bedroom duplex. They would sit in my mom's living room like it was a mansion. And didn't faze me. And when I told my mom the other day that Coach Boston passed away, she was like, you thank both of them. You thank both of them. I've never been able to thank Coach Boston and thank Coach Smith for what you've done for me. I love this university. And some of you know I go to a lot of games, I go to baseball, I go to soccer, I do it all. But because I try to give back for what they did for me. You know, my wife here, 2 beautiful daughters, great educations. I don't want for anything because of those 2 men. Dave Queen and Lee took care of me while I was here. Anything that I wanted. But Roscoe was my rock. Roscoe is my rock. Anytime I needed anything that happened, Roscoe was always there. You know, we clowned a lot, and then when he was assistant coach, things happened, but Roscoe was always there. Jerome, it was just, it's a family. I hate to break the family, I don't want to leave the family. Just one of those things. And I think Coach misses Coach Boston. And I watch practices and I watch games. Justin's doing a hell of a job, but it's something about Coach Boston being on that sideline in practice. It wasn't the game so much, it was practice. Coach Smith being on one side, Coach Boston being on the other side. Those floppy socks that never fit his ankles. Everybody knows that. I was frustrated like Roscoe too, because I was in a big city, I'm from a little town. And Coach Boston always told me, don't worry, I got you, you'll be fine, you'll be fine. And Dave Queen, Dave was always, anytime you get into trouble, I never got into it too much. But if I needed to get in trouble, there's always someone there. It hit home, because my high school coach right now, he's going through something that he's sick right now. And I call him once a week. Sometimes he picks up the phone, sometimes he don't. And it bothers me now that he might be gone soon. And it's just people like Coach Schmidt, Coach Boston, Coach Hughes, the director from the Boys and Girls Club. They just mean so much. They mean so much. It's a tough situation to be standing here right now. I know I have some bad stories to tell, but I can't tell it. I'm gonna keep it to myself. He was just, if there's anything such called as a perfect man, he was pretty damn close. He was pretty close. I only got an opportunity to be with him for about, I think it was maybe 2 years, 1.5 years. Because I played half the season with that last group and I went on the pitcher. But that team that year, we could have did some special things, and the next time we left, I felt lost. I said, where did Coach Boston go? You know, Coach Allen, you know, I just saw his face. Me and Roscoe was trying to figure out Coach Allen's name. We couldn't figure it out, but we had his face together. Coach Moscow, see you in the crowd, always been supportive also. Everybody played a role. Coach Baker, you know, it's just everybody's a family. And I was telling Bailey earlier, hopefully we don't have to get together like this again. Let's just get together sometime, make something of an annual event together as a group. Maybe in his honor.
appreciate. I know you do. I know some of you back there do. Well, I had in the dorm my freshman year, Cool and the Gang on an 8-track. And I had this Hawaiian-looking bathrobe, some sunglasses, and an air guitar and a broom. And sure enough, the next day at practice, I walk out, and he says, Hollywood! And the name stuck. And I guess this is something he did with all of his friends, because I watched the memorial service from Brownwood last week. And one of the gentlemen attested to the fact that he had his nickname, and he pointed to about 5 or 6 others. But he says, I don't understand it. Don Boston has been out of coaching for 2 decades, and he takes me to Dallas for the Sweet 16, the Elite 8 3 years ago. And we're walking around, and we're in the hotel where all the coaches are, and he's walking around going, hey, Coach, how you doing? Hey, Coach, good season you had. Coach, your team's looking good. And the guy says to Don, I says, do you know all these coaches? He goes, no, that's why the word coach was invented. Sounds like it. Well, I actually exchanged emails with Don that Friday morning, and it was golf related. I've been with the PGA Tour about 32 years, and then on Sunday, my wife and I went to church after we'd heard the news. And it was so funny about the sermon that we heard that day, because the preacher was talking about Jesus and the disciples, and how the disciples didn't really understand exactly what Jesus' mission was. They couldn't quite grasp it at the time. And the minister said, high above understanding is where the Lord lives and works. And we can't understand these things and why they happen the way they do. My wife lost her son suddenly at age 27, and we don't understand that. But on this earth, there have been few people I've met that had a certain understanding about people, about personalities, about situations like Don did. And I can tell from the way everybody relates to him that you felt like he was your best friend. And I know he was one of my closest ones. And I'm going to miss the son of a gun. And this past week, I've had 3 Slurpees. And I've never had one in 30 years, and it explains a lot about this. So if you haven't had one, go get you a Slurpee. You'll feel the good vibe, and that'll be our connection point. So, miss you, Don.
And I'm trying to, and it was, he rolled, you know, not ride me in a bad way. I mean, my man here, he put it on. Oh, it was, we have a great relationship. Nothing. Coach Bostic would be the one telling me, John, you want to be tough? You want to be tough? You know, you know, I was a freshman. And when you come into a situation, a new team, and now they're putting the weight on your shoulder, you're going to be the spokes in the wheel for this team. At 18, now I got Al Will, I got all these older guys who I'm supposed to look up to. But Coach Boston would say, you're tough. Did you tell me you were tough? And that weight, you know, it was, I never understood it. You know, I can remember when they would bring me in and Coach Boston, Coach Schmidt, they'd ride me. You running? And I'm sitting there saying, how do I know? And Coach Boston would always come back and tell me, you're going to appreciate this. I never agreed. I used to think it was the worst thing in the world. But I watched Coach Boston because he was always the cleanup man. He was always the cleanup man. Whenever coach would give it to me till I can't take it anymore, he'll push me right to the edge. And next thing I know, Coach Boston would come right back in and straighten out the situations. You know, I can remember coming to my dorm room, and I'm just fed up. And Coach, you get the knock. What are you doing? You know, it wouldn't even be about basketball. So where are you going to go? You better not go to any of those girls' rooms. Right? You know, he, you know, how to diffuse. You know, and I can remember I came in, you know, they had me in all of these tutors. We're going to make sure you graduate from here. You're going to have all these tutors. We're going to do all of this. And Coach Boss kept saying, John, you're smart enough. You don't need a tutor. Because every time, you know, it would be tutor night, we had to be at the library. I would read all just, I'm not going, but when we got back to the room, Coach Boss was like, Coach, do you ever sleep? I mean, he would say, Johnny, you better be in your room tonight. You know, and I wasn't like I was the wildest thing on the team, but it was like, I'm putting that burden on you. You better be in your room. And that was such a blessing. It was such a blessing. You know, when I think back, because I didn't come to UT to graduate from college to doing that. I came to play ball. See, that was the stipulation that I had. I just want to play. I want to go. Coach Boston, like, if you're tough, you can play. But you got to be tough. I had no idea the toughness, the mental toughness, and all of that was involved in my man. See, it's more mental toughness. You get mentally tough, you can handle it. But you're going to go through some tough times. But Coach Boston would be that person standing right beside and saying, Johnny, you can handle it. You can handle it. And it was just amazing to meet his family. And you know, one summer, I was goofing off in school and became academically ineligible. You know, I had to tell you, since I'm going to tell it, I can't stand it. We were given a test for one class, all the basketball players. And they said each one of you got a mark, a wrong answer. All of us put the same thing. So the professor challenged it. I flunked the class and eligible, so I had to come up that summer. And they've set it up where we're going to take care of this. You go back to school, but you got to learn it. I mean, every day I'm out in somebody's yard with a rake, with a garden hose. I didn't even know anything about that type of stuff. But they made me earn it. It wasn't like it was given to me, Johnny, you got to go to work. And I appreciate it because it never happened again. Now, I'll never be ineligible. You know, that was something, and Coach Boston just kept pushing. You know, they both just kept pushing, and I think I did okay. I think I did okay. You know, I appreciate it. I appreciate what he did. You know, when I used to meet his wife and his little son Todd, it was, you know, you felt like they were your parents. You know, because Coach Bostic thought he was my age. I remember times he'd come in the gym and say, John, I want to play you one-on-one. But it was one rule when you played Coach Boston. You got to play hard. You can't play Coach Boston because, like Coach said, dirty player, all of that, Coach Boston, if you're not serious, he will knock you down, you will pay. So you got to, when you strap on, I've seen some of our players quit. But, you know, I learned that one thing you can't do is quit against him because he'll lose respect. And I saw some players during my time where he backed away and wouldn't say anything because he hated you to quit. No matter what happened on this court, you can't quit. You got to go handle it. And, you know, everybody always, and I tell the story, Coach and I talk about it. You know, a lot of people talk about the NC State game all the time. You had 30. They don't remember the game before that against Purdue, where Donnie probably zero for first time in my career I didn't score a bucket because I got benched. You know, I got benched, and I was still flying from in Lafayette, Chicago, O'Hare. And Coach Boston kept saying, "What are you thinking? What are you thinking?" You know, because I was upset. I mean, I've been benched the whole game. You know, Coach Dapper Richard, my five who start the game, they have to start the second half. And I learned that, you know, so I thought, okay, maybe he's forgiving me. 1 second into the half, got on back out. So Coach Boston stood in, he slapped me on the butt and said, "You got to handle it." You know, the next game, you know, it happened to be NC State home. And, you know, by then I knew I would graduate from college. I've grown up. I'm going to graduate. So I'm not going to, Coach and I, we're not going to get in these fights. And Coach Boston's not going to have to keep me after the game for 20 minutes to keep encouraging me. I'm going to graduate. I made it. You know, and that was my most freely game. It was no pressure. We didn't argue. You know, Coach walked back in the gym. I remember we had a shoot around. I went in the gym inside. Everybody left. And Coach came in there. "What are you still doing?" Which I'm just sitting here. I was just sitting in the gym by myself. You know, and I could feel Coach Boston just give me the wink. You know, and he was always encouraged. I mean, you know, being that first one, oh, it was rough. And without Coach Boston there, you know, he was about 10 years older than I am. They both had this way, you know. One's going to pound you, but the other one is going to challenge you as a man. He's going to challenge you. And, you know, if you have any of that intestinal fortitude, you got to accept that challenge. And I love it. I mean, I really love being a part of UT, Coach Schmidt, Coach Boston. And I say to him, thank you. Thank you.
We lost to Purdue by 51 on national TV that night. Next week, we beat North Carolina State, and they were number 11 in the country, and we were Division II University. So Johnny did a lot for us.
National champ today.
Great teams, great times. Centered around Coach Schmidt and Coach Boston. Johnny also could have played guard for both teams, the football team and the basketball team. We'd like to wrap it up with our athletic director, Larry Marquis. Rod had mentioned some things, and it's a theme I know that we never want to have to get together on occasions like this. So Larry's going to have a quick few moments about some occasions that we'd like to get together in the future and honor Don again, and also help Coach Schmidt out in the future.
Thank you. I appreciate you all coming out to honor Don Bostic. I was a football wrestling coach for 28 years, so I had not heard the name Don Bostic. I had heard of Coach Schmidt, because I was coaching out on the West Coast, and we all wondered why Vanderbilt fired this guy from beat Kentucky. After seeing the picture of Don, I knew why. But that is First time I heard the name Don Bostic, I was with the great late Freddie Solomon. We had gone to a baseball game at the box of Rick Thomas. Most of you know Rick, one of our former football players. And we made the mistake of stopping at the Chatterbox, where I met the great orator, Danny Lee, for the first time, and then proceeded to tell me about all the great things that had happened at UT, mostly out of the classroom and off the courts. But he mentioned Don Bostic's name. He mentioned him many times that night. So the first time I had the opportunity to meet Don was out in California when our team was playing in Bakersfield in a tournament that we should have won the national championship. We didn't. Another long story. And I came up and introduced himself. I thought this guy was going to have a pirate patch on and scars on his head, but he didn't. And he was one of the greatest gentlemen I ever met. The last time I met him was in this room. We had a small tribute to Coach Schmidt a couple of years ago, and Don reminded me that he still had his whistle. It was about time for him to retire and get back in coaching, and I always kept that in the back of my mind. And someday I hope to bring him back here, at least in remembering to talk to our student athletes. But one of the greatest tributes that you can pay to somebody is to keep their name alive in perpetuity. We would like to start a scholarship. This is the part that kind of rains on everybody's parade tonight. If you have the wherewithal and can see fit and would like to make a donation, we'd like to start a scholarship, a Dallas scholarship, in the name of Don Bostic. There's some information out there. I'm not a hard salesman. If you would like to do that, take the card or take one of our Sword and Shield brochures, and at some point in time, when you feel it's appropriate, if you'd like to make a check, we'll make sure that money is put in the fund, and we'll make sure that only goes to basketball players and Don's name to help keep his name alive. So, on behalf of all the current student athletes at the university, I'd like to thank you all for coming. I'd also like to invite most of you, because I very seldom see you, to come on back and watch a basketball game. We're still as exciting. Coach Schmidt has not slowed down a little bit. He still gets off the chair occasionally and talks to the officials in appropriate manners. So please come. We have out-of-town guests, visitors. You don't want to stay at your house any longer. Send them to Martinez Center. We've renovated this facility. We've got some other plans to make some other changes in our athletic program. But you're always welcome. Please come to games. Just don't need to pay. Come on in. Tell them who you are at the gate. We'd love to have you watch our current group of student athletes play. Basketball is as important to the young men that play today, young women, as it was to you guys and girls that are in this room. So please come on back, and thank you very much.
My dog needs to go out. on this side of Kennedy.
Yeah, north side of Kennedy. Okay.
What is it?
On the Mission Garden?
Yeah,
Right about there, but it's basically the corner of North Boulevard and Jackson.
oh, okay. I'll be there.
Help him. He is so challenged. He's over here all the time. I don't know where the outpost is. What the hell?
Smell the beer.
Seeing you, Meg.
Yes, sir. As always, Johnny.
You ought to run for office downstairs, so you be the mayor. You be the mayor.
That's all
How
right.
about that, huh?
I accept where I am. I'll accept. You know, you could go public library and they have everything on and you can it's on like I believe it's like 6 months at a time. Maybe it's, but you can and then print and then they print it. That would be the easiest way to go. Paper is that you can do that.
You're stopping at the outpost?
I think everybody's headed to the outpost if you want to join.
Well, it's good seeing you, man. Good seeing you again. Again, sorry about that.
Oh, stop it.
Well, you know, I start to thank you again for everything.
That's a kid that got tutored right out of here.
You got what?
We got tutored right out of
No.
here. Morass, well, you didn't write that paper? Fire!
What was his name again?
Morass? I was looking at the picture. Put him in for mop up duty at the end of the game. And he did some bad shit. He was on the court 5 seconds.